What's going on, Internet and Power? Welcome to episode 21 here on The Summit. And by now, you know that we're the podcast that shares with you all of the latest and greatest gaming, anime, pop culture news, saving you all the time of finding it yourself. Now, let me chill. I'm sorry, Ashley. You know we love you, but I got an unorthodox way of introducing everybody. And today y'all locked into the Summit podcast. And first up, we have consort of Michaela, the bearer of the frenzy flame, Razor SJS.
Alright, that one is kind of crazy, bruh. Cause fuck Mikula. But that one was wild. I wasn't expecting that. But hey, happy to be here. 21. 21 episodes. We hit a little snag. I want to say this now, just in case it's not mentioned anywhere else. But episode 20 was uploaded late because of a little power outage situation with one of our co-hosts. But hopefully, we're getting the train. We're keeping the train rolling. So hopefully we don't miss no more than a day late, maybe two. We'll see. But we're dedicated to keeping this consistently going, and I'm happy for that. And thanks to my two co-hosts here, and even Ashley, even though he had it's outside of his power, right? But beyond that, happy to be here, of course, like I always am, and I'm ready to discuss some gaming pop culture topics with y'all.
And rocking with us, we got Mr. Consistent, legendary guardian, was a god, finally human, the almighty Striker.
Finally human. I descended past that, but what's good, y'all?
Okay.
I'm here. We here. What do you mean, okay?
Against what play? You didn't catch the play.
No, sir.
Like the play on words. What's your favorite game?
No, that's okay. He's an Eminem fan. You know what I mean? You gotta explain these shit.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll get back to that. But y'all know where to find me. Everywhere, really, anywhere and everywhere. I mean, just pull up your Google, just type in greatness, and I'll be there.
But no,
if they do that and you don't pop up, what do you owe them?
No, they just don't know how to spell.
I was trying to breathe past
that. I push back on that, but hey, I'll let it slide. I ain't doing
it. And by now, hopefully you guys know it's me, your humble servant, Rain, aka CJ. Sadly, due to unforeseen circumstances with weather prep, so not only does Texas not have the best barbecue, but they didn't prep for the storm, and it's a shitty state. Come at me. But your boy Ashley had to sit this one out. That's, the episode 20 did get uploaded on time. It just had I think it had an issue. It was labeled wrong or something like that. I'm pretty sure. I think so. But the floor is all yours, brethren.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay. I just wasn't sure because I know he got his power back in time to possibly do it, but life and all that. Yeah, less than 24 hours. I was saying that just in case I haven't checked, but
no, for sure.
Yeah, the show goes on. Rest in peace to Ashley. He ain't dead, but he's not here. Shout out to the boy though, and hopefully he'll be back here. Next week. Anyway, on to gaming news. First, we're gonna talk about Resident Evil Biohazard currently releasing on the M series and iPhone 15 Pro models. Now, I guess I have some games on my phone, but not of that scale. I'm not too adept in AAA gaming on a phone. That sounds pretty crazy to me. Although I will say, Resident Evil is a pretty great series from my personal point of view. So yeah, if you're a phone gamer with one of these new updated phones, hey, this is something. This could be something for you. I can't say I have too much experience in that. I don't know if it's gonna overheat your phones or nothing. That's old games. You should do that, and not high running games like this. So that sounds pretty crazy to me. But if that's your thing, hey, you got it. Also, going into Mortal Kombat 1, they are revealing the Combat Pack 2. They have revealed the last character for Combat Pack 1. Actually, I know his trailer dropped this morning, Takeda. So if you're still playing MK fan, that's something to look into. There have been leaks. I know people have talked about they've data mined voice lines and stuff for Cyrax, Sector, and Noob Saibot, I believe. Well, not voice lines for all of them, but they data mined enough to know that those three are most likely going to be in the game and in Combat Pack 2. Rain, do you have any more to say on that? I know you're also into Mortal Kombat 1, so you possibly.
Yeah, they're according to Ed Boon, because he's fucking very active on Twitter, like Donald Trump and Elon Musk type stuff.
He is, ain't he?
Yes, sir. That they gonna probably reveal a lot of what's to come at SDCC, which is San Diego Comic Con, which is like a really big Comic Con, I guess. We'll probably talk about that a lot during this pod occasionally because of other things like Marvel and things like that that have upcoming reveals there too. But balance changes for the Mortal Kombat thing. If you care about that knowledge, it's all over his Twitter for some reason. They don't put out patch notes like that. I guess Ed Boon just throw that shit on his Twitter feed. You can see it there.
Oh man, yeah. I would. I think it would be funny to log into my Twitter right now and just go to his page and read them, but I'll let that be. Hey, you know where to find the info. You know what I mean? I did see a tidbit about buffing Natara, and I did play Natara first when I got into the game, so I'm happy to hear that.
Had to,
She
you
did
know.
so well, yeah.
Oh, Meg.
Oh yeah, I forgot she voiced that. That was terrible voice acting. I'm not gonna cap. That was terrible voice acting. I can't defend that. But the character was fun though. Just a little buff. Her low game was pretty whack. But we can't get that far into detail. All right, let's moving on. Moving
Off-brand
on,
Lilith.
huh?
Off-brand Lilith. That's what they were going
And Lilith is crazy. Anyway, moving on to Assassin's Creed Shadows, which recently had a playtest. However, players had grievances regarding the way relationships between the NPCs were, some artwork around the map, the overall feel of the game, and people were saying that it felt like a mesh of time periods, despite the game, being set in one specific time period. And it's also no more negative news on it, sadly, under direct pressure from Japanese politicians,
Mm-hmm.
because of the and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but long story short, the actual accurateness of the game and what time period is
Yasuke's
portrayed.
role. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So
that too. Like the cultural differences, I think they said they had a big problem with the way the game is portrayed, like servants. Because you played a couple other games earlier this year that were based in Japan,
yeah,
like that time period, and you could tell the difference between feudal lords and their servants and things like that. And I guess Hellblade probably got that right, and they don't like the way that Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed are portraying it. That was their big thing.
They're saying a petition with about 80,000 signatures. That's pretty up there. So I feel like that is definitely enough pressure for Ubisoft to have to make some changes and listen in. And
they already kind of issued an apology as well. So I think it's heading in that direction because them people said they want to either see the game changed as a whole or it be done for.
Oh yeah. Well, they are definitely going to have to do something about that because that's probably a good portion of sales, considering it's representative of their culture, and also the fact that it's representative of their culture. You want to get shit right anyway. You know what I mean? Good teaching, good representation for them. Good teaching moment for the rest of us. You know what I mean? So hopefully Ubisoft, can pick they slack up and get some better. Who even does that? The game devs themselves, do they do the research?
That's what I was going to ask. I'm going to Striker that.
Yeah, because sometimes they outsource that. But yeah, Striker, give us your opinion as a dev.
Yeah, I mean R&D is usually part of the planning phase of development, and we want to make sure that you're creating content accurately, especially if it's something very historical. That's something that actually myself and Hyrule are kind of doing right now with one of our projects that we're working on.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because Ubisoft's a big enough company to know they have a department for that. They probably have their own department.
A team, a whole team.
It started a little debate online too, because people initially were saying, it's black people always trying to steal people's culture or whatever.
What?
And then people went in there and they were like, you understand, Ubisoft's not they're a French development studio. They're based out of France, bruh.
Oh, really? I've never looked into them. Didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's got them looking real stupid, but.
See, if they were American, you can go, well, Americans don't know about the world, but you're French. Oh man, you can't use that excuse. Sad.
You can't.
All right. Well, moving on to hopefully a more positive note. I'm pretty sure it's a positive note. I'm going to pass the mic here off to Striker so he can tell you guys all about Once Human. He's been heavy into it this past week, like 5-10 hour streams on the game, so that's got to be something good. I'm gonna let him take
Hey,
the floor.
absolutely. Yeah, no, the game is amazing. The game dropped. It's been about 2 weeks now. They're actually. Well, let me not skip content. Um, as we mentioned before, the game is a post-apocalyptic game where you're essentially kind of playing as I guess mutated human, and your whole goal is essentially to try to figure out what's plagued the land and free the land from that plague. And it's a survival open world PvPvE game, so you can't play PvE, but they do have servers which are PvP, and the PvP is really solid. I really like what they did with the PvP with the game. Is not just like Rust or Ark, where you're essentially kind of working with your either by playing by yourself or playing with other players, and someone could just walk up, just blow your walls out, and then next thing you know, you're lying on the floor, crippled and whatnot, wondering what's going on and what you're doing with your life, and wondering why you're spending this time and spent this money, and
Well,
none of
can
that
you
happened.
build in the PvP zones in that game?
I have not tried it. I don't think you can. No, you can't,
So
because those
a
PvP
better
zones.
comparison would be more like the Division with its darkness zones, huh?
No, because every area is a PvP area. You can PvP whenever you want to. Um, they kind of made PvP as a toggle, so you can toggle PvP and make yourself like an enemy to everyone around. Or if you enter specific strongholds that is open to the world, that those strongholds are, they call it GVG. I don't exactly understand or have looked into it exactly what that means, but that's you against the environment, also against other players that are within that zone, and that zone is marked as such, and you cannot be in that zone and not expect to encounter some type of PvP.
All right, one more question before you continue.
All right.
If you're out in the open and you mark yourself for PvP and someone else isn't marked for PvP, can you damage that person?
Yes.
Okay.
So it sounds like a mix of so that sounds like how Diablo 4 worked. Except you go in the PvP zone, you mark yourself and you're hostile to everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can kill
Yeah.
you.
But can't you still like basically mark yourself for PvP and just like farm a nigga or kill him? I guess.
You definitely can, and I did on one of the streams actually.
Man.
There's some events, public events that you can do that
What
force you
separates that from
into.
Ark, though?
It's not constant PvP. I knew that's what. So I mean, actually, I guess like there's PvE servers where like friendly fire or whatever like
It
damage
can't
against
happen at
players.
all. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is. But if
But
you PvP and
yeah, if
yeah,
you're in a PvP server, like you best believe, like you gotta be ready for the smoke. And this
but
one, it's a little bit more tamed, and to where it's not constant. Like you got to be ready for the smoke.
that
Also,
just sounds like there's no savages playing that game, bro. Because if I know niggas are running around all willy nilly playing on PvE and I'm a savage, I'm gonna just mark myself for PvP and kill them and take their shit.
I don't feel like chopping wood, but that nigga over there, I know he been doing
I mean that is true. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. Like you could play the game however you want to, which is really dope about the game. I just feel like, especially right now in the early stages of the game's only been out for 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
I guess this kind of brings into other points. There's phases of the actual game's content, as far as like not story, but like additional gear that you can acquire and weapons, and also resources that'll help you unlock additional gear.
Mm.
These additional resources, by the way, because the game does have in-game currency and whatnot, but all that in-game currency is purely cosmetics. There is no pay to win in this game, which is phenomenal, especially for something that's free. This game is absolutely free on Steam, iOS, and Android.
Mm.
Wild to see. Well, I can't really say wild because I think Survive or Ark Survival did the same thing and they went on mobile.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
sure was gonna say. Wild to me, once again. Phone gamers out here taking over.
That convenience, I guess, for him. I don't know. I never understood it. I couldn't get into it. I think they're different breeds, but hey,
I love Wild Rift.
so the game at the moment does have battle pass, it does have seasonal stuff, but the rewards that you get from the battle pass and the seasons and these phases are purely for cosmetics that you have to pay. Now there are some that you can acquire, like the specific currency called Starcrom, and you can get Starcrom for damn near anything, even PvP, um, which allow you to unlock blueprints to craft higher level gear. And that's kind of like where that end game content and where you get a lot of your strong loadouts for the game.
Like Element.
Right.
Oh, okay.
The game does have a really in-depth and very detailed story, however. And they have about, I want to say, 6 areas, and each area, I think very similar to like most adventure games. They have preset levels on what you have to be. So, I mean, you can farm as much as you want in a certain area, but the gear that you're gonna get from that area is always gonna be based for that area's level. These guys are sad. They've died about 6 times in the whole explanation I've been explaining this. Anyways,
The shade.
Mm-hmm.
hey, you
I
gotta
hear about this.
as far as content and activities that you can do, you have dungeons, you have several missions, and there's even raid battles that you can do. The raid battles, I believe, are set to whatever fire team you have. There is a really good matchmaking system where if whoever's in the area, they can join a raid activity. Um, and the great part about this and those like that activity is that it's not end game, so you don't have to like play the entire story to fight this specific boss or even to fight the more challenging version of the boss. Just got to do a few missions, do some stuff, just play the game naturally, and you'll eventually get to those bosses uh, in their respective area. Um, I just that's so far that I've kind of experienced and what I have in the game so far. I'm like level third or about to push level 30, and I've put about 30 hours in the game now, and I still haven't even scratched the surface as far as content and everything else I can do. The crafting in the game is phenomenal. There's like an endless amount of things that you can craft, and how they go about crafting. I feel like is very. I would say it was innovative. It's definitely different from most survival games, which is like craft or get this resource, get that resource, merge to make this resource, and then make that other resource or make that material or item that you want. Um, they kind of require you to craft other components to then craft an item or equipment or even facility that you need for your base or whatever it is you're going for. Um, yeah, I can't think of any other like survival game that really does that. I mean, I guess you could say art kind of, but not really. Essentially, it's just kind of
Mm-hmm.
resource gathering. It's just a farming simulator. Same thing with Minecraft.
Okay.
I do have a question because I hear once human is supposed to have like these. I forget the sub genre of it, but like these horror elements to it. What is it? What kind of horror is it? Because you have like, is it cosmic or something? Right? Because it's like creatures and whatnot. How do you feel about that? Or is that nice or what?
Repeat that one more time.
Like I know it's supposed to have like a horror element to it with it's not psychological, but I want to say like cosmic or something with the creatures and all that. How's that?
It is sci-fi, so the creatures definitely are like um I wouldn't say it's horror to the extent like it's actually frightening, but more like terror type horror. They're it's I'd say think of like Elden Ring bosses and kind of how they look as far as like all the weird ones and like the gory looking ones. Um and same thing for like the mobs and ads, and you're not only just fighting those sci-fi creatures, you're also fighting like a resistance or some militia within the game as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You got any like critiques on it at all? Anything like that?
So far, definitely a really solid release. The beta and alpha. I've been playing since alpha, about 2 years ago, and kind of
There you go.
following them since.
Damn.
Yeah,
My
they've been
bad.
in development for a while, and I feel like they did really good as far as like their testing and not full release. The gameplay feels really smooth. The weapons definitely feel great, especially when upgrading. Their upgrading system is very, very easy to learn. I should say. It's not like kind of have to look or ask them for help to kind of figure things out. They definitely like give you enough information or pop ups to kind of go about it. Upgradings or getting yourself stronger and preparing yourself for the next area. Even as you're progressing through the story and getting to another area, they'll tell you about something new or some a new aspect of the game that you haven't quite done yet or even unlocked, and how to go about becoming stronger. Multiplayer is I feel like this is done really well. There hasn't been any kind of lag or even like network issue that we've noticed while playing. And the aesthetics looks great. I think it was Ultra or someone that joined or was watching the stream was like, "Yo, what game is that?" It looks really like realistic versus like Power World, and it's like, yeah, it's definitely a different like theme. They focus on a more realistic survival type feel, but not so much so that it's like a attraction shooter.
Hmm. Okay. Well, if that's all you have to say, I don't mean to cut you off. I don't know if you have more.
No, that's about it that I
Okay.
got for
Well,
now.
hey, you heard it from him, Mister. Like 100 hours on the game already since like 2 years ago, and once again free to play. So I guess no reason not to try it out if you have it on well, yeah, Steam and iOS and Mac. iOS and what? Once again, your
Android.
phone. Yeah, okay, phones. You can play it on your phone. I don't know how to. Probably want to have something updated because that shit gonna blow the fuck up otherwise. Just gonna skip around here since we brought up the phone topic again. With Apple and Mac and M series Mac devices, Apple Intelligence is coming to select devices such as those with iOS 18, so for M series Mac devices, and also the brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max. So I guess if you have one of those, y'all definitely eating. Jumping back up to gaming, a really quick segue to Concord, which is the 5v5 hero shooter game that had a closed beta this past weekend. Also going to have an open beta from July 18th to the 21st. So if you did not play the closed beta, forgot about it, or just didn't have access to it, you have access to this open beta from the 18th to the 21st, just here in a few days. I didn't have too much time to play it myself over this weekend. But I'm being straight up honest, it didn't really hook me. Um, it's the heroes themselves, like look wise, it's like meh. There aren't a lot of like designs that really capture you and make you question, hey, what is this guy? What is his deal? Who is she like? Who is she? What is she like? You know, um, but it also could just be like you're kind of thrown into the beta or into the game itself. Like there's not even a tutorial or anything to kind of teach you what's going on. And I just queued up for a match and quickly realized how much I didn't know what the fuck I was doing because like you have to know the abilities and whatnot. Each character has two abilities, a unique gun, a passive, which their passives are shared between the four different classes. You got the class and what passive they have, and characters have unique jumps too. Some have double jumps. Some people can hover. Some people can dodge midair. Others can't. And it's just a lot to get thrown into immediately. So that was something that kind of threw me out, not having no tutorial and like just having to figure out the fuck out. And I had to figure out how to on the menu go to the characters so I could read their abilities. Um, I didn't give it too much time, so I can't talk. So I don't want to talk too bad on it gameplay wise. The abilities felt fine. The gunplay felt okay. It wasn't necessarily one of those things where you know how with some FPS games hitting a shot feels satisfying. I didn't get that feeling in Concord, but once again, it is beta. So of course, it's subject to change. Maybe it's things that they just haven't worked on and tuned up yet. Um, there are a few bugs that probably aren't worth talking about. They probably are going to get looked into before this open beta, hopefully, right? Because what's the point otherwise? But the game features the beta, at least, not the entire game. The beta is going to be featuring 4 maps, 3 different game modes, and there are 16. The characters called free gunners. There are 16 characters, and you will have access to them all. You did in the closed beta, you will in the open beta. As far as the game modes go, I played Trophy Hunt, which is basically just kill confirmed. I can't speak too much on the other 2 game modes. But something to note is that this will not be a free to play game like most games are going nowadays. This full game is going to be $40, and that is something that's turning a lot of people off because it's like it's not that the game is horrible or anything, but is this worth $40? You know, and
15.
that's say what
15. Would you give him 15?
I'd give him 15. You know,
No,
that's
really
pretty.
worth.
That's pretty reasonable for real. I mean, they could even go up to 20 or something, maybe depending on it. But I'll probably touch on the game a little more during this open beta to get a better feel for it, and look into the scene, look into how other players are feeling about it, because to give it a more fair critique. But I will say, off of what I've heard so far, of what I've personally seen so far, what I've heard, what I've read, I do not think $40 is worth it, and that is a big turnoff for a lot of players in terms of buying. Because with this closed beta, I had access to it because I have PlayStation Plus. Because the game was only open to if you're on PlayStation, you had PS Plus, or if you're on PC, pre-ordering it. So, and it hit a all-time high of like 1,100 players. But like around the end of the beta, the concurrent player count was a little over 100. But notably, that's Steam numbers. I don't think we have a way to track the numbers for that on PlayStation. And there's probably more people on PlayStation considering that PS Plus is damn near necessary, for a lot of games. So we'll see how the open beta performs. And once again, that is July 18th to the 21st. If you are interested, it's called Concord. And I'd definitely say, it's going to be free. Check it out. See if it's something that's for you. And I'll come back next week to see if I change my mind on the whole $40 thing. I don't think I will, to be honest. But hey, I'm open to being surprised. There aren't a lot of other upcoming games this month that we had to talk about. I don't know, Rain, if you've been giving more time into First Ascendant to get a little more.
Yeah, I got to level 40 on my first character, but I've been screaming a little bit too. The last time I did scream, I ended scream. I was farming for the shit that I need to craft Glay. That's where I'm kind of at. I guess if you don't put money into it because it's a free to play game, it could be tedious to grind out characters, and they don't tell you that up front. You know what I mean? It's not presented right away because the first character you get is Bunny, and that's kind of like that quest that you get to craft Bunny is streamlined, so you gonna get her quick. The second one I got, the second quest I got for a character was Freya, and I had not gotten all the shit to craft Freya, and I think I only got 3 zones left till I actually finish the main story. You do have to beat the entire first main story before you can even turn the difficulty to hard. That's a little bit of a grievance I have with the game because I know I wouldn't turn down a more difficult experience for increased drop rates earlier if you get my drift.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So like hard mode increases drop rates and stuff.
Yeah. So I feel like players should have that option from the get go. You shouldn't force them to have to beat the story the first time before they could actually, do that. But I'm still putting a little time into it. It's not. I'm not hooked. It ain't. I don't feel like I need to be there, but it is a fun experience.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of expected that sort of grind, especially with the comparisons the game was made. Like it's meant to be that grindy looter shooter kind of game, right? Where you'll probably get like a decent little power up within your first hour, but then you'll reach the point where it's gonna take you an hour to get like 1% better. That's usually how those games goes, So either it's for you or it ain't. It's probably not, from what I've seen, it's probably not the best of its kind, but it's not bad. And like you said, the paying things you can pay to kind of get power ups and stuff easy, and that's probably always going to be an option in modern video games, unfortunately. But then again, Yeah, it's not something that's forced upon you. You can
But they
definitely
do
do
put a
without
limit
that.
on it because
Oh,
this
really?
company has, yeah, they've received lawsuits in the past with certain things like drop rates and shit like that. People felt like the gambling wasn't actually like they felt like they were being scammed, so they did get sued previously in their past. And I guess from that experience, they've like they're now new numbers and drop rates things are supposed to be true. They actually get investigators to look at their algorithm and they put a cap on the amount of things that you can buy. So therefore, you can't necessarily pay to win because they are looking to add in a lot of content similar to like shit that Destiny does, like Rage and things like that, and they have world's first races on those games. They
Hmm.
want to do things like that. They want to make this game just as big.
That's
Not
pretty dope.
cheating, but wanting to,
Hmm.
model that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, as someone who's well, I can't really say I played Destiny for 10 years, on and off for 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's dope to have a game that you can like kind of grow with and see that story out. I think that's really dope. Like games lasting that long is probably yeah. Because what other games do that? It doesn't happen too often. So if they can do it, hey, I'm all for it. Now another game released this month that is hyped up. EA Sports College Football 25. And the first one in like a decade. Is anyone of y'all, like sports gaming fans? I personally am not. But
I usually play those, but I ain't gonna lie. Actually,
mm,
I might be able to play this because most of Madden's games come out on the Xbox Game Pass.
Game Pass.
Yeah,
Is
I haven't
hey,
checked it out yet, but I'm
oh,
I'm gonna later today to see. But I wouldn't personally pay for any sports games anymore. Like personal experience, but they're
mm,
always fun. It's just you know what you're getting. You know what I mean? It's the
yeah,
same shit every year. But this is the first one, like college football game since 2013. So that's kind of a big deal, I guess. And college players are incredibly athletic, and some people would say they try harder than professional players because they're trying to get there. They're still chasing a dream. So I think it's going to be very entertaining on the streaming side because Madden has a big streaming foundation. There's
it
tournaments that
does.
are
Yeah.
played, so
Hmm.
there'll probably be a lot of things to look at within that scene as well too. It's definitely a family vibe. Like I play against my cousins and shit like that. You know what I mean? But I don't play things online anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say I used to play sports and like couch sports games was like a couch gaming thing for me.
Yeah,
Whoever did it, it's pretty dope that
absolutely.
way.
Mhm.
Spared a little joy to the PlayStation players, provide for getting monthly games for this month. You have Among Us. Hey, don't knock it till you try it for real. It can be fun with friends. It is kind of shitty solo. I'm not gonna lie, people be kicking you out for nothing. Under that, you have another sport game yourself. National Hockey League 24. If you into hockey, I've never played a hockey video game. It's kind of shocking to me, but um that's there. And also Borderlands 3, great game right there as well. If you haven't
Mhm.
tried it, so if you have PS Plus, and these are actually I can vouch for two of them at least. I can't vouch for the hockey. I haven't tried it, but hey, once again, don't knock it till you try it. Um, that's about it for the big upcoming games for this month. And of course, we're gonna have other episodes this month. So if we miss anything or something else we want to decide to talk about it, you hear about it next episode. Um, that's all the gaming news and talk we have for you today. So we're gonna switch gears unless you guys have any save rounds on gaming.
Uh, can confirm now that it is free on Game Pass as a for 10 hours. You can play it on Game Pass right
There
now.
you go.
And I ain't gonna lie, that's how every Madden usually releases the first month on the Game Pass, and I make it a whole year with those 10 hours because you're not playing that shit that long.
Yeah, I bet. So we're gonna move on out of the gaming realm. First, I want to hit up the anime realm. We haven't really talked about anime a lot on the podcast. Period. Honestly, I guess we've all been kind of busy. There's not a lot of shows out that's catching our attention. But because we haven't, I don't think we talked about this last week. Demon Slayer season 4 concluded recently. Um, and we have been confirmed to end the series with a film trilogy. So the Infinity Castle saga will be three separate films. It's kind of crazy. So I guess if we won't finish this series for another 3 years, god damn, they're milking it, man. Um, I don't know if either of you guys watched season 4. I did find the time to kind of binge it and finish it out. Honestly, probably their worst season. I'm not gonna lie. I think the Hot Your Training arc should have been just a shorter movie. It just there wasn't a whole lot going on in this season at all, and that's my personal opinion. I don't know how everyone else is feeling on it. A lot of time was waiting. It's just a whole lot of nothing was happening for the entire season. If I'm being completely honest, like I don't even think the training arc did a lot for a lot of these people in the story wise or whatnot. But Infinity Castle should definitely pick things the fuck up, and it should get back to hopefully some peak Demon Slayers. I think Demon Slayer peaked in season 2 so far, anime wise, but I think Infinity Castle has a good chance to match that peak. And also, Mugen Train wasn't Mugen Train or it still is like the highest grossing anime film of all time. Like it killed that record. Hey, so they definitely, with their track record, have a chance to do something amazing with those movies. Because even though season 4 was boring, the animation was still top tier. So I definitely think now that they are on to more exciting things that it's gonna be a shocker. Speaking of movie-like episodes, Stranger Things season 5, which is going to be the final season, is also going to do a thing where each episode is basically a movie, which is very similar to how they did the last 2 episodes last season, right? It was 2 different episodes that were like an hour and a half long. And I love Stranger Things. I did love those last 2 movie-like episodes, so this is like kind of exciting news to hear for me personally. I think it's gonna be amazing. I've actually been looking forward to this newer season. What about you guys? I don't know if you guys watch Stranger Things either. Or...
I haven't watched Stranger Things. That's one of those Netflix shows I stayed away from.
Yeah, it is Netflix. Where do you stay away from?
That I stayed away from.
Oh, really? How come?
What? Everyone else around me was watching it, and I didn't want to talk to everyone about it. So I decided I threw it in the bubble with Game of Thrones, and what's another one that was popular Walking Dead. I haven't watched either of those 3 because of how popular they are. I have seen Breaking Bad, Prison Break, and a couple other things. I'll wait. And then I watch them probably after no one's really talking about it as much.
Really?
And, yeah.
Well, I mean, I do recommend it. I guess I don't. I didn't really have that problem, so I guess I don't really talk to too many TV binge watchers for real. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I don't think I faced that where it was like it was ever on the internet for me, but personally in my personal life, I didn't have to deal with that. I guess, but I definitely understand. That's sentiment.
Shows, man. Older people. That's all they do for real.
Oh man, I can't wait till I hit that point in my life. It's gonna be great. So moving out of the anime TV range of things and moving on to something else exciting, huh? I'm sorry.
The other thing. Oh, My Hero Academia.
Oh, I completely forgot about that because I personally have not started the new season. Like, once again, hey, my fault. Hey, he got me.
Okay. Coming to an end too, right? The season finale.
This really, I damn, it's been that long since the season's been out. I personally, I'm not caught up at all, but I will say, the show overall, I do really like it, and I do think it's pretty great. Actually, I know because of like spoiler ass memes that I won't mention specific stuff here, the manga has ended. I'm pretty sure, so that means the anime can't be too far behind, right? You know what I mean? But I do like My Hero. I think it's been really tuning up these past few seasons, its overall story, and it's one of those few where it's kind of like reminiscent of Naruto in terms of like the character roster is big, but you do care about a lot of the side characters and like you do attach it. You are kind of attached to a lot of them. It's been a minute, but I also will say that it does give a lot of his side characters some shine, some Naruto kind of like stopped doing eventually. So that I'll definitely have to start that. I don't think I'm watching any big shows right now. I'll definitely have to pick that up and start it so I can get caught up and talk about it. I don't know what about you guys?
Second half of the season just resumed. That's what it was. But no, I'm still I think 2 episodes behind where they are right now. I guess I'm kind of caught up. Ooh, yeah.
You'll get to episode 2 eventually, my boy.
Yeah, you gotta keep trying, I guess. He's
Yeah.
putting me to sleep. Like, oh, I don't know what it is.
God damn, 20 minutes?
Yeah, you know, it's
That's
just
wild.
Young
Yeah,
minority.
go ahead and watch something else.
I tried
Um,
like 4 times now to start watching that show, and everyone keeps telling me you
oh
gotta
my
try it.
god. Do you be trying like at night before bedtime or something? Like I don't get
Middle
it.
of the day. Middle of the
Middle
Have
of
day.
you
the day.
have you ever
Are you
tried Black Clover?
trying to watch it? For real?
Yeah, yeah. I'd sit there and I almost put tape on my eyes to keep my eyes open, and
Man.
I learned how to fall asleep with my eyes open.
Mm.
I'm gonna be straight up. I think that's kind of like an attention span thing. Cause like if you think about it, right, a lot of modern media and stuff like that has trained us to have shorter attention spans. Like typically, if you aren't grabbed within the first like minute or two, you're less likely to give it your full attention and all that. Which I suffer from that shit sometimes as well. But I think definitely when it comes to TV shows and stuff, and even some movies, you gotta like you gotta sit through that hump of exposition and world building and stuff. It may not be the most exciting, but you kind of got to go through it. Hopefully it's not a whole season of that shit like this past Demon Slayer season was. But I guess I get it. Right, everything doesn't start off banging,
Like
but
Attack on Titans.
You ever seen Black Clover?
Oh,
The motherfucker started off banging.
yeah, but not
I've
everything
seen
does.
Black
And
Butler.
I feel like some things start off banging because they know of the short attention span and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And like honestly, like, well, I can't remember the very first episode. Well, was the very first episode of Attack on Titan when the wall broke, when the
I
Titan.
believe it is. They attacked the wall, and
Yeah.
I think that's when he lost his mom and all that.
Yeah. So yeah, some shows do it. Not every show does. But that's even strange. I don't think Attack on Titan is a great example because even though it started off with a decent amount of action, like Attack on Titan was one of those kind of like slower, methodical. Think about this happening, this, that, and the third happening. So I don't know. Like I feel like you got to just give it the chance. You feel me? So that there's great and come out to the greatness eventually. Because not every show is going to start off like on a 10 or 11. You feel me? And that's something that we all have to work on, honestly. Like it's a modern generation, fucking attention spans are short as fuck. That's why social media like TikTok takes off because it's quick, instant gratification and all that. You know what I mean?
I don't know. With that, like Attack on Titan was really like it took quite a lot of twists and turns, and like there was so much like season 3 by itself, like alone, like if you don't pay attention from the first episode of season 3, by the time you get to episode 5, you're not gonna have a single clue on what's going on. And episode 1 and 2 kind of build that same like that formula of like, here's some action and whatnot, but like we're now about to tell you a little bit of story and give you some more information, but they don't follow the same formula that most anime do, where they build up to that climax. Attack on Titan just starts at the climax and then start building the story.
I mean, I think the wall breaking is more of the catalyst than the climax. But I mean, yeah, I think that kind of like just further proves my point. They did the action to like hook you in, and then it's like, okay, now we'll take a slow story. And not every show does the well. Every show and story should have that beginning hook, but I guess it's not always as strong. But but regardless, I do follow and stand on the fact that our attention spans have gotten worse over these past few decades, and that's why a lot of shows suffer from like people just quitting out early. Not just shows, but any like entertainment media in itself. Like you're not hooked in immediately, you're less likely to give it like even a fucking hour of time. You know what I mean? That happens a lot.
100%.
Any save rounds on shows, shows, TVs, anime, movies. All right, moving on to pop culture, specifically music. We have two albums that recently dropped this past week. I'll save the bigger one for last because I know we'll probably have more to say about that one. But first up, a little personal homebrew. Memphis Zoo by Juicy J and Xavier Wolf, who I have not heard of Xavier Wolf before this album, but I really fucked with his verses here. It's a little collab album. Usual microwave Memphis vibe, if that's your sort of thing. Rap, trap music. I definitely recommend checking it out. I thought it was a lot of fun little album. They also had different couple vibes with certain songs, so it's not all just hardcore rap. There's a couple like little vibey beats in there, a little old timey. It's I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the album. And I Rain Oswell listened to it, so he'll probably give you a little spill on how he felt about it. Um, but yeah, if you're into that kind of Macabre vibe or rap hip hop, I definitely recommend checking it out. Also, Juicy J is a big name, and you know if you are a Juicy J fan, hey, he's definitely Juicy J in on this album. I'm trying to think about whether I should say pause after that. I'm gonna just do it anyway. Pause. My bad. It did sound okay. Yeah. All right. I had to stop myself, but I was already mid statement, so you know I just decided to see. Let me stop. All right. Hey, back to you, Rain.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, it was definitely a cool album. Smooth listen and definitely a different, like the other album we're gonna talk about, a different approach. Not
Yeah.
approach because he's been in the game for a minute, but different take of rap than what is mainstream today. So I feel like a lot of people should listen to it, so that way they get more of that in there. You know, diversify your palette.
Yeah,
But
yeah, of course. Yeah, I do agree with that. Don't if you listen to only one genre of music or only like a handful of artists, you're doing yourself an injustice. You know, there's good
100%.
music out there in every genre except country. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait, no,
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 You,
I'm
you,
lying. I'm
you ain't
lying.
find
I'm
that one.
lying.
You
I'm
haven't.
lying.
I was about to say you haven't found that one then.
No, okay. Well,
pour
no.
me,
Okay, I am lying. I do fuck with Morgan Wallen. I can't admit that.
pour me another drink.
All right, you know
That
that one.
nigga
That one.
Spice.
Hey, I'm just like, okay. Country's one of those harder ones for me. I dislike like 80 to 90% of the country songs I hear. I'm not gonna lie. That's the one genre where I'm just like, damn, and I don't want to explore because it's like, it's scary. But you know, regardless, like, that is a terrible example. I gotta take that back because I just told y'all, huh? There's music. There's good music in every genre. There's good music out there. Good artists out there. Hell, you don't even have to speak the language for the song to be good. If I'm being perfectly honest.
Hundred percent.
I be listening to Latino music. I be listening to J-pop, K-pop, all that. Like there's good music out there. Don't limit yourself just because of like public perception and stuff like that. You
Bollywood.
know what I mean?
Vibrations are key to the soul, and that's all music is, my brother. It's not
Mhm.
a language.
All right. So we're gonna move on to the next album, The Death of Slim Shady. You know, I'm then back at it with these controversial verses. You know, and I guess I'll go ahead and start. I gotta say, I fucked with it, and I fucked with the message he was trying to send. I really do. Uh, actually, we might talk more so about the message and of the album, I guess, in a bit. But first, just first impressions of the actual music and songs itself, which it doesn't change for me. I fucked with him. You know, Slim is he's a pretty great rapper. He's always has been. I've always still fuck with him. I don't know why people say they stop fucking with Eminem. I don't get why. I think he still his how old is he?
We
'Cause
know
he's been in
why.
the game for a while. Huh?
I said we know why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I guess so. I ain't gonna go down that rabbit hole, but you know, yeah, he's still consistent after all these years. He's honestly like he hasn't fallen off his game. He's gotten better his wordplay and all that, and so this album was really nice for me. Nice listen for me. How did y'all too?
Oh, it was definitely a good listen. I enjoyed it. I'm getting my piece out before the stand gets the mic, but you know what I mean. So I definitely enjoyed it. People are saying you should listen to it backwards. I don't know if Scracky got anything to say about that yet either, but yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Hey, take the floor, man. Oh shit, he has to take a deep breath for the shit or something, huh?
He gotta get his notes ready, but
What do you mean? What do you mean? Gotta get my notes ready?
He finished getting them together just in time.
Nah, that's funny. Oh, you finished your part, right?
Yeah, I'm good. Go ahead.
Nah, man, that album was dope. Honestly, I will say I wouldn't give it like album of the year or like this is his best work, but like I'd say it's definitely up there, up along with like a lot of other great albums that he had. Um, I wouldn't say it's like my personal favorite, um, but I like the direction that he went with it. For anyone who are like NF or NF fans, I got a lot of Hope vibes from this album. And he did tell a story from start to end, kind of like how he said on his tweet. It's a conceptual album, so you can't just skip around and just vibe to the song just because it has a good beat and whatnot. You really got to listen to what's going on and what all he's saying in these songs, all the way up from the beginning, from that first track, even the skits on up to the end.
Okay,
And I guess this is kind of more so going into that message now.
Yeah, I mean, you can lead the way there if you want to start. You're already on the floor.
Word. So I mean, kind of starting off like how Eminem would write like a lot of his tracks and album. We're talking like early 2000s, late 90s. A lot of his songs and his music, like he threw a lot of shots at specific views and whatnot on people, like I'm gonna say such as the gays and um I don't think at that time transgender was really a big thing or whatnot, but these were terminologies that was being thrown out there to insult someone and like hurt pride, and to get called these names, you would be looked at. I mean, at that time, you'd be clowning on somebody, and I guess that you'd be making fun of them and hurting them. But nowadays, if you were to say that, you're only hurting yourself and creating this image of yourself as a toxic person, and you're very insensitive and things like that. Like talking about how like nowadays this modern world is very has gotten softer, I guess, and how his older self will look at today how society has kind of like I guess you say devolved into this very soft shell, very censored PC culture and whatnot, you could say, and you have to be walking on eggshells to when speaking around somebody, especially when they are fit this specific categories. So from like the first like what 5 albums, it was our first 5 tracks actually on this album, he was just nonstop going at it. But that was like his old self, him talking from like his older perspective, and he would even mention, oh, how would I believe it was in which one was it? Houdini, if I'm not mistaken. He would mention, I wonder what the Omni would say if he were to see how the world is today, right? He kind of very clearly states it there, that this is kind of how my old self would kind of view this, but not necessarily quite him saying like this is me today or whatnot. Like he said it before in several interviews, he's accepting of how people are and who they choose to be, but doesn't mean that he's this and he's gonna accept that for what it is. He's just gonna respect other people's views and opinions and whatnot. When he went about like stating and canceling and talking about like deaths and shady, you can kind of hear it, especially in Guilty Conscience too, um, where he's having this back and forth between modern days Eminem, Marshall Mathers versus uh, older days Slim Shady, and him trying to like just completely do away with that life and whatnot and stop being so aggressive and trying to just get under everyone and everyone's skin. Um, Name dropping and calling people out and just really trying to make a joke out of people who've possibly may have gone a wrong route, such as like Kanye. He mentioned him a few times in his track, as well as Chris Reeves brings him up quite a few times throughout his whole career. Brings him up, and for those who don't know who Chris Reeves is, I actually had to look him up because I forgot who he was. He was the Superman actor who fell off the horse and became was paralyzed, and then I think like a few years after died or something like that, or shortly after he died. Um, he would make fun of him and talk about his how he's paralyzed, and in the album, I ain't gonna lie, he did not hold back on some of the stuff he said. It was kind of wild.
I'm not gonna lie, he did mention Christopher Reeves a couple times. Like I was like, damn, again.
He did, yo. Especially in the brand new dance song, I'm talking about you, Chris Reed. Go ahead, stand up. I was like, what? Um, but kind of seeing that kind of path, that journey from the start to the end, and where the end he's become a little bit more tame, a little bit more Solomon, and I wouldn't say he was apologizing, but more so showing like this is his how would I put it? I don't want to say softer side, but more of this is I do have a tame side, and this is my tame side, and this is my way of getting out of it, out of that aggression.
Mhm. See, I kind of agree with the majority of what you're saying. I would use very different like words, and like in my personal interpretation, I went a different route. Now, of course, I so with me in the route I was taking it is like, yeah, the world has definitely changed since then, but also something I was really taking away from it is like you can't, because a lot of people who are a part of these communities, LGBTQ and like such, they did face a lot of harassment and judgment in earlier phases, or just like years ago, right? And weren't able to be as out as they can be today, pridefully. But at the same time, now that they are out and are full go mode, people who disagree with their views, they they attack them in very vicious ways. Not just physically, obviously, but like verbally. You see it all over online and all that. And I got a message of, hey, how are you gonna be? You were the oppressed, and now things are better for you. Now simply because someone doesn't agree with you, now you're doing the same shit that used to be done to you. That's fucked up. That's wrong. I was getting a lot of that from a couple of the songs, and that's something I definitely agree with, because it's just like, yeah, even if someone doesn't agree with you, it doesn't give you the right to like shit on them or their lifestyles or whatnot, right? Because that is essentially exactly what was happening to you back in the day. People didn't agree with you and your lifestyle, and they shat on you for it. That was fucked up. That was wrong. But now you're doing the same thing to other people. And that was something I got out of it, and it's like, yeah, as well as the whole thing you mentioned where the world's kind of gotten softer. I guess that is the proper word for it, even if it may be a little offensive to people. We definitely have gotten softer. There are words we can't say no more that we used to just blurt out all the fucking time. Not saying it's right, but I do think, like, in my personal belief, I think safe spaces are great. Definitely have your comfort zone, but you cannot enforce your safe spaces onto the outside world, right? Because it's just not how life works. When you go into the outside world, you're gonna have to build some resilience, because you're gonna have to take some shit you don't want to deal with, because that's just the way people are. That's just the way human race is. That's just the way life is. You know what I mean? And I also think that when it comes to the internet is technically open public space. You cannot make the internet a safe space. The internet will never be a fucking safe space. The internet it's a terrible fucking place, for being honest, right? So you can't really expect to have all sunshines and rainbows, happiness and agreements everywhere in the world. That's just unrealistic. They're gonna be people who are assholes. They're gonna be people who never want to change their ways, never want to change their mind, and if that's outside of your power to so like don't worry about it. Just take it on the chin and keep it trucking. You know what I mean? Um, but at the same time, like you mentioned of him going back and forth between himself, because he was mentioning his older self was Slim Shady, right? Named Slim Shady, but his newer self, he was referring to the newer version as Marshall, right? That's something else I think I
Yeah,
caught. Yeah, so
Marshall
like,
Mathers. Yeah.
yeah, she was like, "Oh, here come Marshall to clean this up." But at the same time, it also promoted the message to me that like it's okay to change, right? Change with the world, even if you don't fully agree with everything. It's okay to change. It's okay to be accepting of things that you don't necessarily partake in yourself, which is also something I believe in, right? So I think overall the album has a really great message, and honestly, maybe this is me being fucked up, but I love the way it's presented. I love how he presents it in a way that is that in it itself is mad fucking offensive, because uh it's hard to get people to listen nowadays, but for whatever reason, hate gets a lot of attention. You know what I mean? So like it gets a lot of attention, but it also gets like surface level attention, where they don't look deeper into your words because of the tone that it's set in. And so I hope this is something that can get past people, because that's something that I believe in too. I don't think, yeah, maybe I should watch my tone, but at the same time, my tone shouldn't dictate how you interpret what my message, because there could be something positive behind there, right? And that's what I think this album was doing. And also, a quick detour, same thing for the rap game, because he mentioned, I think, was this the first song? I only gave it one listen over, so I gotta do it. I gotta listen again. But we was talking about how people were shit talking artists and how their work isn't the same, or how this new album wasn't all this and that.
First
People do
track,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Renaissance. Yep.
People do that shit a lot too. Oh my gosh, bro. It's like, oh, this ain't the same. It's not like the old guy. This trash, this, that. And it's like, bro, I don't know. I don't even know where that kind of behavior comes from. Do we? Because it's like, you're not making that music. There's no way you can make an album better than this, right? Even if you think it's shit. You know what I mean?
People just want to complain about something, you know. They just
Yeah,
have.
that is true. People do love complaining. It's up there with, I don't know, breathing or something. Um, but yeah, great album. I think I love the music. I love the message behind the music, and that's all I have to say on it.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And especially about that part, you know, like listening to the deeper message about it, and kind of, piggybacking off of what you said on that first track. He does that a lot in a lot of the tracks on that album. And it was funny because I seen an interview, or actually, I just posted a link to a short about when he name dropped Candace Owens, and then Candace Owens felt compelled to go onto an interview and talk about that album that Eminem dropped and how he talked bad about her, and then basically started calling him a loser and a lowlife, and like nobody knows who he is, and he's just nowhere to be found and things like that. And it's like, you're only saying this because you're hurt, but you're not listening to like exactly what he's saying. Like, it wasn't really Marshall Mathers saying this about him. Like, a lot of the early stuff, like everything before like track, I think it's 13 or 14, it's like Slim Shady and like him that basically essentially call himself the devil. He called himself the devil a lot. Slim Shady the devil. Um Getting himself to fame by stomping on everyone who had any kind of popularity. And basically, and especially around that time when you name drop somebody and then you dropped a really like a really good bar about it, like it was talked about. It was like, oh, you know, this person said this about this person. Oh, it's not, you know, it just starts trending, and you know, rumors starts getting spread and things like that. So he just followed that same old formula and threw it in that song. Not, it may not necessarily be true that whoever he said it about, but the reason behind it, I feel like, is what people fail to see or understand. If it was something that is current, then I mean, like he just sees an opportunity, but it's not necessarily saying like, hey, he's doing this to really, shit out somebody. He even said in that same, guilty conscience, he was talking about how, I'd have Melly Mel and Benzino and all them or whatever, and have a barbecue with him and sit down and just squash all the beef and the hate and whatnot, because that's not who I want to be.
Yeah, that kind of shit kind of just further proves his point, because it's like, oh, you just took what I said and immediately just went defensive and like didn't think about the message and just wanted to shoot shots back. It just kind of furthers his further evidence that he's kind of right in the message he's trying to push. I don't know, Rain. Do you have anything else to say about it?
Mm-mm.
No. All right, cool. Yeah, we hit that. Now on to another topic, one that we don't talk about too much, I feel, on this podcast, but we got to talk about it today. On to politics. I guess you could call it politics. You know what I mean?
Hey,
The assassination
absolutely.
attempt
On
on
Neo.
X. The assassination attempt on ex-president and now probably future president Trump. Oh my goodness. It's really quick, let me pull up an article in case you didn't know, which I feel like everyone American probably knows right now, but just in case
Happened in your nation. Well, in
just
our
in case you
nation, I
weren't
guess.
up to date on news, on Saturday at the rally in Pennsylvania, right? There was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. It was the shooter let off like about, I think I counted like 7 shots. Only one made contact with Trump and it got him in his ear. So man, he was inches away. Oh my goodness, that is pretty crazy, dude. Inches away from dying is insane. And unfortunately, we did lose I want to make sure I find the article for proof so I don't mistake give out false information here, right? Because there, unfortunately, some of the spectators were injured. I want to say off the top of my head, 1 dead, 2 critically injured. Rest in peace, and I hope the other 2, hope he had speedy recovery. The shooter himself was quickly apprehended. Secret Service apparently caught him and killed him. Damn, can you say that word on? Well, it's too late. Caught him, got him.
Unalived
Outside
him.
of the rally, unalived him outside the rally. They caught him. He was unable to get away. The shooter was identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. Yeah, it's insane. That's a young dude. That is a pretty young dude.
Really
I don't
young.
know. That is really
Fresh
young.
out of high
I'd
school.
like it is like, and like my thing is just like I don't like. How do you at that age? Like how do you really how do you really get into that sort of position? You know what I mean? So he was a he was a member of a local gun club, which I guess makes sense considering the firepower he was able to acquire. Worked at a nursing facility, and he was a registered voter. He was a Republican. It was pretty crazy. But of course, Trump survived. Obviously, he only got hit in the ear, and he hit a pose before he walked off. He wanted to send a message, and I agree that he did. Their support for him is definitely through the roof. Memes for him definitely through the roof. You've probably seen those if you if you haven't yet. They're kind of funny. They're comparing him to 50 Cent. 50 Cent is damn near trending off of the fact that Trump got shot and survived. It's
he
insane.
was confused why.
Yeah. I think I saw him perform that song recently just because,
Yes. And he came out with a head, like a big head of Donald Trump.
Yeah. Hey, I understand. Take advantage of the wave. When the internet makes you famous, gives you a little moment of fame, you take advantage, get some money, get some fame, So that's pretty much the gist of the story. And it's been a while since we've had an assassination attempt in our country, yeah? Like a long while. So it's pretty crazy. This is definitely gonna be like a top news story for a minute, and it's 100% going to shift the power in the election. Oh my goodness, 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Have y'all
man.
seen the footage of him? Like, apparently, there was a footage and someone got a top-down view of essentially like the pose that he did just before he got shot. Yeah, that him turning at that slight second is what basically saved his life. Otherwise, if he had initially still been addressing the people in front of him, that would have gone through the back of his head.
Hey man, aim small, miss small, but it is what it is. Is what it is.
Hey,
I can't say it's too soon for them jokes because this is just getting outlandish already. You know what I'm saying? So
ain't it? I'll leave that to the people without a platform that they want to succeed. You know what I mean? I'm just here to spread the news itself. So yeah, that happened. Hey, America, we're fucking crazy out here. Like, and there's memes on both sides. There's the memes for like, this man's like 50 Cent, and there's the memes on the other side that are not going to be mentioned right now. So if you didn't know about that, definitely look into it for yourself. If you're not into politics, you probably don't have an interest, but still, it's assassination attempt. That's pretty big fucking news. You know what I mean? So and actually, that's so huge. I think that's where we're going to end off the episode today. Yeah, why not? Hey, that's big time right there. So that's the last thing we're gonna speak on. Yeah, that's the last thing we're gonna speak on. And I don't know, maybe I'll probably take a little look into politician type news to see what kind of comes out of this for this next week. See what Trump is saying now, what if he's gonna have any more future rallies, because I guarantee the Secret Service probably don't want him to, but like knowing him, he's done to tell him fuck no, I'm going out there anyway, probably, yeah.
And by the time I guess this is my last. So we finish it there. My bad. I ain't gonna rush that or cut that off.
I'm gonna go for it.
I jumped the gun on save rounds, but July 16th, 17th, we got Prime Day deal. So by the time y'all listening to this,
got him.
I mean, if this definitely releases as intended.
Yeah, leave it up to sponsored striker.
Is that what happened?
Hey, but I definitely
I'll never get that title or that intro though.
Wait, what? Oh, you talking about your intro? You want to go back?
I never get nothing positive for my intros. Hey, but it's alright, because I
You
know
don't
the
think
fans are.
Wait a minute. Did you not think my intro was positive today? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, my bad. You're right. It was positive. I guess I took the tone as sarcastic, but you was right. It was positive.
Oh,
do
shit. That
You do
man been holding on to that for this whole podcast episode. That's crazy. Hey, well, now's your chance to fire back, Brain. I'm gonna hand it off to you for closing.
Oh no.
Oh well, actually, unless we have more saved rounds first,
Nope.
no
Silent.
brass. Let's go.
Yeah.
Silent. Yeah, I probably don't want to finish that statement.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Wrapping up this episode, we want to thank everyone who made it this far in today's show. All we ask for your appreciation is for you to spread the love by sharing the podcast with a friend. While you're at it, go ahead and drop us a 5-star rating on the supporting platforms, which is all major streaming platforms. This helps the algorithm promote our show, which helps us bring in new listeners. Don't forget, if you want to reach out and keep in touch with us, you can always find our Discord server at discord.gg/the summit. It's our unique code. We do boost the server. We love the people. Thank y'all for tuning in. And as always, we will see you next week. Peace.